Page 32, F below. Sounds dirty, but it ain't. In this piece, they're introducing you to a new note. I haven't really gone through and tried to teach you the notes. As I said before, I don't teach how to read music, but I will try and explain all the symbols to you. There are plenty of videos around, I'm sure, that teach how to read music. If there aren't, then come back and let me know, and I'll see what I can do about it. But this is referring to the F below middle C. On the keyboard, you know, C is at the bottom of a group of 2 black keys. Well, F, go down. F is at the bottom of a group of 3 black keys. So it's up to you just to know F on the keyboard, where all the F's are, all over the place on the keyboard. But the one we're referring to in this piece is the one just below middle C, because it's in the bass clef, you see it there, and it's the next to the top line. In fact, F is the note that the bass clef identifies. It's also an F clef, remember, so F is it. You can calculate all the other notes based on this note. So F is your starting point. And that's the purpose of this, to teach you that note. Now, there's a lot more symbols in the music than I've covered. I haven't explained everything because I don't want to explain everything in one video. So let's cover a few more. We already know about the clef signs. The treble clef or G clef, the bass clef or F clef. You know about the staves, the 5 lines. You know about the curly brace and the grand staff and how it functions. You know about the measure lines in a measure, or bars or bar lines and all that. A couple more for you. Look in the upper staff, the treble clef staff across here. All you get are these boxes. Well, they mean something. You see, according to the time signature, every measure has to have a certain number of beats in it, a certain number of counts. Common time, C, common time, 4/4 time, means there has to be the equivalent of 4 quarter notes in every measure, 4 beats in every measure. Whether it has notes or not important. It should have the beats in it. There's exceptions to that. We'll deal with the exceptions when the time comes. So here in the left hand you have the 2 half notes. That's equal to 4 quarter notes. We're fine. We've got 4 beats in every measure in that bottom staff. You can see all those notes. It adds up to 4 each time. But in the upper staff, when they don't have anything, then they use rests. A rest is the same as a note, except you're quiet. The term that I use is play the rest, which means be quiet. Well, that little box that's hanging below that line, and it needs to hang below the line, that's important. That is called a whole rest. See, for every note, there's a corresponding rest. Whole rest is equivalent to a whole note, except you're quiet, and it's equivalent to 4 quarter rests, which is like 4 quarter notes, except you're quiet. You haven't had a quarter rest yet, but you can still understand the concept of it. The whole note it gets 4 counts, is what I'm trying to say in my long drawn out method of it gets 4 counts. Actually, I just as well tell you now, since you're confused, it doesn't hurt anything. The whole rest has double duty. It can be the same as a whole note as far as counting goes, but it can also just represent a whole measure, regardless of how many beats are in the measure. They'll just stick in a whole rest and it's understood it's the whole measure. Now, if a measure, the time signature has more than 4 counts in it, 5 or 6 or 7, however many counts in it, and you're counting quarter notes, then the whole rest doesn't quite fill up the whole measure. They may have other things in the measure besides the rest, or they may just stick in the whole rest and nothing else. Just know that if there's nothing in a measure besides that whole rest, it's for the measure. It doesn't matter how many beats are in it. That's what I'm trying to get at. And so you have to be careful about that one. Let's try this reading thing out. together slowly to double check these notes. The notes are pretty simple. You're only using two of them. You have the F and you have middle C. That's it. If you look on here, the 5, there's a 5 below the F. That's your finger number. So fifth finger is going to go on that. And the 1 is going to play the C here. So that's where your hands go. Hand goes. The other hand can just stay in your lap. You don't need it. So based on that, these are the only two notes we're going to play. But look at the third measure over. You're playing both notes at the same time. This is different because a lot of method books don't let you play more than one note at a time for quite a while. Here, they've got you playing two notes at the same time immediately. Well, I'll talk more about this in the future, but there's a technique. I haven't talked much about technique. So I use the weight to push the notes down. I don't use the finger muscles. I use the hand and the arm, and I can control how much weight I'm using. I can control how heavy I want these to feel on the keys. But whether it's one note or multiple notes, it's still I'm using weight to push the note down. And it's just which key or which finger or fingers happen to be down at that time. So at the beginning when I play the F, the little finger's down and the other fingers are up, and I just lower and cushion it at the wrist. Don't play with a stiff wrist. Cushion it at the wrist. And then same thing with the C. The thumb is down and I put my weight on the C. So I'm kind of rotating the weight from finger to finger. And you can do this between any two fingers. It doesn't matter. Now in music, when, like in the third measure and the fourth measure, the first line, when they have two or more notes and they're directly above each other, in this case even it's connected with a stem, it means you play them at the same time. So just so you're aware of it. Well, when you do two notes at a time or more, you have two or more fingers down, you're just putting the weight on those fingers. You have to listen very carefully because they need to go down at the same time. I have problems with that, but it takes some time to work that out. But you can work on that. As you're doing the C major scale, and I hope you are, just do my video on C major scale. You can practice this technique on that scale. But here we're using these two notes, either one at a time or both at the same time, and then you can count it out to get the rhythm. Now you see above the top staff at the beginning it says with energy. Normally this is where they would tell you the speed or the tempo. With energy isn't a tempo, it's more of a feeling. But that's okay because music is feeling, you know, I gotta feel it. So I guess they mean play this with energy, whatever that is. In the play with me, we don't do anything with energy, we go slow. You can do the energy stuff on your own. Then the dynamic is medium loud, mezzo forte, the MF. And you'll have to decide what medium loud is. I can't help you. It's softer than loud, but louder than sort of soft, medium soft. Just play it somewhere. But I'm going to let you figure all that out, and then let's play it together. I'm going to give us 4 counts, and we'll play it slowly. So go ahead and put your left hand where it goes, and here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Off. Now at the bottom of the page there is a teacher accompaniment, so we can play this as a duet. So I'd like to play that, and you play what you just played, although I'm going to speed it up a little bit, more like a performance type thing. So I'm going to give us 4 counts and we'll play it together. So go ahead and put your left hand up where it goes, and here we go. 1, 2, ready, go.